there's a lot of people in the creator space that are very drawn back to using the
Averse to
technology.
it, yes.
And I think one of the things that's on their mind
Yeah.
is the copyright
Yes.
concern.
Intellectual property.
How do we
Yeah.
solve that problem?
Yeah. One of the primary sort of principles that we are now embedding in all the large language models that we build is the ability to identify AI generated content versus non-AI generated content. And that's the beginning of solving that problem, right? So SynthID is a technology that we're using now, where you basically get a watermark that tells you that this is AI generated. What that does is that you can then be able to, as a user or consumer of content, be able to distinguish, what comes from original IP versus what's generated through a model. Take that a step further, and moving beyond that, the creator and the creatives, of this content have a leg to stand on, because that content is clearly distinguishable now from AI generated content. Because ultimately, at the end, intellectual property is something that we need to continue to protect, because that's people's time, effort, and ingenuity, which I think deserves to be rewarded. And so I think we are at the beginnings of, much like when there's the advent, when there's a quantum shift in technology, when there's a tech revolution, there's always challenges and teething problems, and then we figure out solutions for how we mitigate and solve for those problems. But it's something that's very high on our agenda as a tech, multinational, to solve for.
I think a lot of people have a fear of like the process of getting to the solution.
Yeah.
In terms of, if people are now using copywriters or they're using AI to replace copywriters, for example, there's a lot of copywriters out there that are struggling to, find a way to make an income. But I think, like you said, the opportunities that are created, I think it's a matter of us evolving as humans to be able to adapt to the current landscape in which we operate in.
Yeah.